let Coach Prime that, hey man, at the end of the day, you have a lot of life left. You know, never be too busy to take your medication. Always, 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 always. I'm not saying that's the cause, but 9 times out of 10, when you go find the root issues of why things are happening, he's not taking his medication. He's not doing it every time.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and sitting in for my tag team partner, he's done a great job this week, Captain for Life, Bill Cotton. Thank you for guest hosting, Bill. How are you on this Throwdown Thursday edition?
Doing great. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing wonderful. On this show, folks, as I remind you often, it rarely ends well. We'll talk about Bob Huggins in West Virginia. We'll talk about Coach Deion Sanders. We'll talk about Kelvin Sampson. So a lot of coaches in segment one. Segment two, I didn't even watch this thing, but we're going to talk about the Hunger Games in terms of recruiting, as well as San Diego State. And then segment three, we're going to take a deep dive into Georgia football, some disturbing things going on, and I definitely want to take the time to address it. But hey, folks, it rarely ends well. I am fond of saying that. Life's not fair sometimes. Life's not right. But the active leader in Division I wins in college basketball is out after 16 years at his alma mater in West Virginia. Bob Huggins has resigned as West Virginia's men's basketball coach in the wake of his arrest last week for allegedly driving under the influence. Huggins announced his resignation in a statement. Resignation could mark the end of his career. Huggins won 935 games as a college basketball coach, coached in 26 NCAA tournaments and 2 Final Fours. In 16 seasons at WVU, he went 345 and 203, but this has not been a good offseason for him. We have discussed some of the comments that he has made in the past that caused his suspension and reduction in salary. This is not a good situation. So, Will, according to police reports, Huggins' blood alcohol content was 0.21, which is more than twice the legal limit of 0.08.
Close to
So how did we get here? The arrest came just 6 weeks after Huggins used an anti-gay slur in an interview with a Cincinnati radio station. The school suspended him for 3 games at the start of the season. He agreed to undergo counseling for issues tied to his inexcusable remarks. And hey, we knew this was going to be his last year. This was the nicest way to do it. He got good recruits coming in. He had some transfers. But just 6 weeks later, we're doing this. Can't stay. So before we talk about next steps for West Virginia, Will, any thoughts on Huggy Bear resigning as coach at West Virginia?
You know, I think we talked about it when it happened with the comments with the gay slur. That was West Virginia's chance to get out.
I think you said on the show they gave you an out.
Yep, they gave him an out. So, I guess it was time, regardless of what they wanted. So they gave him another opportunity. They were like, all right, now we gotta let you go now. I mean, it's clear. I mean, at some point the writing's on the wall. So unfortunately how it ended, but you know what they say, man, you die the hero or you live long enough to become the villain. And that happened to Mr. Huggins.
All right. So next steps for West Virginia. West Virginia is expected to do a national search for their next coach. Although internal candidates will be considered, internal candidates better be considered because they got recruits coming in. And I am sure those assistants were the ones that recruited them. This decision gives those players an opportunity to potentially leave for another school. Hey, there are no honor among thieves, baby, as Dusty Rhodes would say. So look for some plucking to come. Don't be surprised if you see several statements of I'm reopening my recruitment, blah, blah. So West Virginia does have some money. They do have a Country Roads collective that will get some players in. And and do some things with NIL. That is well documented among the coaching circles. So Bob Huggins' career: 935 wins, 414 losses, 69% winning percentage, 34 and 26 in the NCAA tournament. Um, Hall of Famer. He's a Naismith Hall of Famer. So let's give some free advice to Coach Huggins. Um, I think you should take the year off, sir. I think you should go to alcohol counseling. I think you should do some DEI work, some diversity, equity, and inclusion work. That's DEI. I suggest enrolling in a university program and get a certificate. That's what I would suggest. Next season, 24-25, I would do some commentary work or get your own platform. I am sure there will be somebody who'd love to host a podcast with you, and feel free to call up. Okay. And then 25-26, find a mid-major job to get to 1,000 wins, or sit next one of your coaches because you have a very good coaching tree, and do what a lot of coaches have done in your situation. Come back, work under somebody who's familiar. But anyway, any final thoughts on Coach Huggins, sir, before we move on to real life is real?
Good luck, sir. If you're struggling with alcohol, uh, you know, I hope the best for you. But go get the treatment that you want, go get the help you need. And you'll, like you said, like Coach says, if you go through the process, man, somebody will be out there on your door, somebody knocking the door and saying, hey, we want you to coach. Um, but yeah, get your help. We want you to come back at some point. uh, and God bless.
All right. So real life is real. Coach Colorado football coach Deion Sanders posts a lot of things publicly. And recently he posted a appointment he had with his orthopedic surgeon, and he might lose his left foot as a result of circulatory issues that forced him to have two toes amputated in 2021. Sanders allowed camera crews with the pregame show to film a meeting with his medical team. This is real, Will. This is real life. He missed 3 games at Jackson State after having two toes amputated. He has no feeling in the bottom of his left foot. And if a procedure is recommended, he wants to do it before the season starts because he's too busy. Well, Will, how would you advise Coach Sanders right now?
Well, as somebody who's kind of gone through the medical trauma, I'll say, and my family as well. It just seems like, and I'm not saying this is what the reason is why, but it sounds like he's not taking his medication. It's basically, and it's something that we as Black men don't do too much. We start feeling good. Oh, I don't need that, or I'm too busy. I'm gonna skip that bill. I'm gonna skip that pill. I'm gonna skip that cream that I'm supposed to use, the thing the doctors tell me to use. Um, Too many times, on personally, where people find their demise or lose things because they don't take their medication. And I'm trying to just take the time as let coach prime that, hey man, at the end of the day, you have a lot of life left. Never be too busy to take your medication. Always, 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 always. I'm not saying that's the cause, but 9 times out of 10, when you go find the root issues of why things are happening, he's not taking his medication. He's not doing it every time he's supposed to do it. Because in my opinion, to see that kind of degenerative on your foot, I mean, that's something that we have stuff. We're modern medicine. That should be something that we should have to help you like that. It's unfortunate, man. So and it's kind of ironic. One of the fastest men in the
Mm-hmm.
NFL is losing his foot. It's just
No.
it's sadly ironic, but I hope
Well,
yeah.
on my end, uh, one of the things that we as people, especially men, and this is regardless of color, is not understanding that as we get older, our health has to be prioritized. I remember a couple of weeks ago, Mike and I were talking about Bill Self on the air, and he had to step back for the NCAA tournament, the Big 12 tournament, and the NCAA tournament due to his health. I had a recent medical situation where I'm like, what's going on? And Ajwa, friend of the show, who's one of the best registered nurses you'll ever meet, and I'm fortunate to have her with us on the CK board, said you don't have the bounce back capacity that you used to have. So you have to be extremely mindful that not that you can't do things, but you have to be mindful of the energy you place with these things, and you can't just go anymore. So that's kind of my advice to Coach Prime is be mindful that you can't go anymore. Will, you played for me. I taught, I coached, I was assistant AD, I was a football announcer. I was always around. I'm 50 now. Yeah, I'm good, man. I'll see you when I see you. And when I see you, you're going to get my best, but I'm not going to do as much because I don't have the capacity, the energy capacity anymore. So it's very mindful of that. So again, as Will said, we're going to wish Coach Prime the best and make sure everybody get your physicals, make sure you see your doctors, make sure you do all of those things necessary to take care of yourself. But we're going to close this segment on a high note. Houston, we do not have a problem. Houston's Kelvin Sampson agreed to a new contract. Shocking, that Big 12 money's real money. That will make him one of the highest paid college coaches in the country. Sampson is fresh off a Sweet 16 appearance, and he's going to reportedly earn between $4.5 and $5 million with his new contract, up from $3.4 million. Also, his son Kellen, who's the assistant coach on the staff, received a new contract. Kellen is the head coach in waiting. Those things never work.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not never. They rarely work.
Yeah.
The amended contract comes after Sampson interviewed with the Milwaukee Bucks. So now he's going to be there for a minute, and he's got more money coming in. They had a 33-4 record last year, 17-1 in the AAC. They're not going 17-1 in the Big 12. I'm going to tell you that now. But they may end up performing better in the tournament because they're playing better competition. Will, any thoughts on Kelvin Sampson? I'm trying to think of a coach in waiting thing that worked, though. I can't think of one, but I'm sure there's one that's worked. I mean, with the parent and the son and the father, not right, the Duke situation. I'm talking about the father giving it to the son, because I don't see a Holtz at Notre Dame at all.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it going like that. Congrats to Coach Sampson. Coach Sampson. And hey, remember, no income tax in Texas.
No income tax in Texas.
Really good. Really good.
All right. So when we get back, fans, it's segment 2. We're going to talk about the Hunger Games and recruiting. Hey, West Virginia, you might be a part of this. And we also want to talk about San Diego State. And I'm telling you, I'm not going, or are they going? We'll find out on the Odd Coaches podcast.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Folarin Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams, just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.casaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast in segment 2. I believe this stuff came out when I was dissertating, so there's like a 6-year period that I just missed everything. Will, can you give me a quick synopsis of The Hunger Game?
The Hunger Game, I watched it like a couple times. Apparently, it's a movie where kids have to go fight for each other for their neighborhoods, and they fight for the rich people's like entertainment.
I have no idea about that, but I know this is the concept that The Hunger Games is based off of. Ole Miss continues to stock its quarterback room. Go ahead, Lane Kiffin, because they added quarterback Austin Simmons, who announced that he was flipping his commitment from the Florida Gators to the Rebels. Simmons was the number 77 prospect in the 2025 class, but said Saturday he is reclassifying to 2023. Hold on. How do you reclass from 2025 to 2023? But anyway, he's going to enroll in Ole Miss this summer. He is a 6'2", 190-pound recruit out of Moorhaven, Florida. He had been committed to the Gators since April, but flipped and is now going to join a newly rebuilt quarterback room. Lane Kiffin also added Oklahoma State transfer Spencer Sanders and LSU transfer Walker Howard to complete with last year's starter Jackson Dart. Ole Miss did not sign a high school quarterback in the 2023 class. And while it is unusual to see a prospect reclassify back 2 classes, Simmons will be able to enroll this summer and will be able to compete this fall. Will, what are we doing, man? Talk to me.
They doing all this to lose to Georgia. I don't know why they doing all this stuff and bringing in kids who, he was 2025 and now I guess he got enough credits to be in 2023. They all losing to Georgia. It don't even matter. I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it don't even matter. They've never been good. Florida's going backwards in time. Hey,
and I tell you, UCF is in the Big 12. They got more money than they used to have before. So Florida and Florida State got competition.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, but at the end of the day, they're not beating Georgia.
Okay. So all of this is for Dart.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, okay. For sure.
All right. I'm leaving, but not yet. San Diego State gave the Mountain West written notice last week that the school intends to resign from the Mountain West Conference. In a letter, the school asked the Mountain West Conference for a 1-month extension, given unseen delays involving other collegiate conferences. Yeah. The withdrawal letter, which came from San Diego State's president, Adelea De La Torre, brought complexities and prompted a tense back and forth between the league and the schools. SDSU subsequently informed the league that the letter was not an official notice of resignation. San Diego State would need to give a year's notice to withdraw next June, and if it waits past June 30th, the exit fee would jump from $16.5 million to nearly $34 million. San Diego State has been linked to the Pac-12, but as I've told you for weeks, they've been dragging their feet with a new TV deal. And the Big 12 has called and said, would you like to have some dinner? Have a little conversation, maybe a little lunch, some coffee. So, Will, what do you think about this latest development? And how would you treat San Diego State if you were the Mountain West Conference? Would you just let them go, or would you hold them hostage?
I'll let them go.
Did you hear what the number was after June 30th?
Yeah. I mean, it's tough, but if somebody's going to tell you they're going to leave, I mean, it's not a preliminary kind of, not an official notice of resignation. Imagine somebody getting a paper like that. Somebody like, hey, eventually I'm going to quit at some point. Not right now.
If I am the Mountain West Conference, I am boring. Boring wins more than loses. And I'm going to say we will follow league guidelines. So if June 30th, you have not formally gone through the process, we will follow our contractually obligated situation. That's how I would handle it. I'm not going back and forth.
Yeah.
I am saying, are you resigning? No, there will be no extensions. There will be no favors. There is no hometown discount. You're leaving. Here's the cost of leaving. Goodbye.
Yeah. That sounds right to
That's
them.
me. That's
Hey,
me.
process. No, everyone wants to jump the gun without reading the process of the policy.
Yes.
So
Yes. All right. So, fans, when we get back in segment 3, we want to take a deep dive into a very serious situations at the University of Georgia. We'll be right back on the Coaches podcast.
The high school and college academic and athletic landscape is changing. The growing number of college transfers, as well as student athletes being able to profit off the use of their name, image, and likeness, has given student athletes the freedom and power to make life-changing decisions. That is why it is important for student athletes to be properly informed throughout the decision-making process. The difference between success and failure is often measured not by yards, but by inches, and even the most successful coaches and players use outside independent consultants to help improve their decision-making, which improves their results. That is what the CKA Save Project would like to do for student athletes across the country, improve their academic and athletic results. Our academic and athletic consulting services assist student athletes with the college decision-making process. The CKA team of former high school and college coaches can provide student athletes an independent assessment of their academic and athletic skills to assist student athletes in their college decision-making process. Let the CKA team evaluate your academic and athletic ability to assist you in finding the right fit for your academic and athletic career. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free virtual consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. And in segment 3, what are we doing at the University of Georgia? What are we doing in terms of their football players? So, fans, let's set the tone for you. Georgia football players, their cars have been involved in at least 10 reports of traffic-related moving violations in Athens, Clarke County since January 15th, when a player and team staff member were killed in a reckless driving incident allegedly tied to racing, according to media reports. Players have also been involved in at least 60 additional moving violations, including speeding, distracted and reckless driving, and disobeying traffic signs since the beginning of the 2021 academic year, according to ESPN's analysis of 911 calls, police reports, and court records from the Athens, Clarke County. About 30 of those incidents have occurred since last summer, when Coach Kirby Smart said police met with the team about the dangers of street racing. So, media reports, ESPN, they did a report and they found that police have charged Georgia players with traffic offenses nearly 300 times since Kirby Smart became coach in 2015. According to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, this report included minor offenses such as failing to wear a seatbelt, as well as traffic violations from other counties and states, while ESPN focused on Athens, which is in Clarke County. In a statement to ESPN, the UGA Athletic Association said it intended to bring back Athens Clarke County Police to speak to the team. The January 15th incident, police alleged that former defensive lineman Jalen Carter was racing team staff member Chandler LaCroix when LaCroix's SUV, traveling more than 100 miles an hour, left the road, slammed into a power pole, and LaCroix's blood alcohol concentration was more than twice the legal limit. Carter pleaded no contest to misdemeanor charges of reckless driving. He was sentenced in March to a year probation, a $1,000 fine, 80 hours of community service, and was drafted by the Eagles in April. Carter had previously been cited, but so, Will, before we get to the past incidents, what is your initial thoughts before we continue to pile on based on media reports?
No consequences. They're not given consequences. They talk to them. They say, "Hey," they give tickets, and that's also part of the police. I mean, if you're just going to keep giving tickets and you know this is a known problem, and you really don't do anything, putting people to jail, restrict people's license, things like that, then there's no repercussions. So they're gonna keep doing what they like. Every child, if you tell them don't do something with no repercussions, they're gonna keep doing it until either they're gonna learn. So it's sad they're really not doing anything to help these kids.
Well, the community is not happy. In April, an Athens resident named Hope Cyberman and her husband had enough. For several days, they had watched a gray Dodge Charger peel out of their block, rev its engine, screech its tires multiple times a day. The final straw was when the driver gunned it so hard that he spun into oncoming traffic. They called the police. When the police officer arrived, they shared the license plate information and said what had been happening. The officer ran the plate, which turned up registered to Makai Williams, a Georgia defensive lineman. When the officer arrived at Williams' apartment, shortly after responding, the football player came out wheeling a scooter that supported his left leg. The athletic department reported that Williams had foot surgery in the spring. The officer told Williams that someone had reported the vehicle. If it's you, I'm just asking you to stop it. The officer told Williams, according to body cam footage, if it's not you, if it's somebody else, then they need to stop it. The behavior has since ceased. But again, this seems to be a repeated pattern of behavior. So Kirby Smart has said he is going to bring in officers from the University of Police and Athens Clarke County to educate the Georgia student athletes, and hopefully these things will not happen again in the future. Will, you have the full scope of what has happened and also the community involvement. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
It's a shame. It's really a shame. You have a lot of people who love Georgia football, and they're trying their best to be citizens, and they're trying their best to be fans. And this never ends well. If you get that many warnings, if you have that many issues, it's going to be a lot of people. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people. The police who are looking over, who are not going to be, who don't care. It's going to be, and it's really going to fall on Kirby. It's going to fall on Coach Kirby. It's going to come at the end of the day. It's always going to fall on him. And that usually happens, man. But the reason why we haven't heard of it is because they're winning.
They're winning, and they're winning big.
Yeah,
and they're the two-time defending champions, and they have
Possibly
a chance to three-peat.
Oh yeah,
they have a chance to three-peat. They're all over the NFL draft. And what bothers me about the incidents is that this is the classic failure to monitor. Mm-hmm. And they are apparently, based on what we've read, little to no consequences. You got to do a lot better than this, because people are dying and people are getting injured. And of my disdain for the off season. Mm-hmm. There are college students who are now away from us for a month, 2 months before the structure comes back. And somebody, again, who played for me, I checked on, what y'all doing? Y'all want to get to the court? Anybody want to do something fun? Hey, let's all go to the movie so I keep an eye on. So please do better, folks. Players, be mindful in the off season. Tighten up your schedules. Tighten up your circles. And let's just make it back to camp. So on behalf of my tag team partner, Coach Mike Francis, and my captain for life, Will Cotton, I am Dr. Keith Adams, saying thank you for caoching and/or watching the iCoaches podcast. We'll see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
The iCoaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.casaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@casaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.casaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.